Hey my friends, it's David Tran and welcome to my 30 days of code challenge, this iOS development with Swift version. My goal in this challenge is over the next 30 days, I will challenge myself and you guys to build a new simple iOS app in the next 30 days. And of course, for me to produce a new piece of content, sharing with you in a video tutorial format to build that simple app. Now I can imagine that someday we'll have time to build a full-blowing app. It will be a full video, maybe 30 minutes or 1 hour. But the other days, maybe I will have to break it into like 30 minutes video so that you guys can be easier to catch up with and for me to produce the content. So I'm so excited, I'm stoked, and honestly, it's a little bit scared and intimidated because this will challenges us to stay consistent and persistent at it, and for me to get disciplined in producing more content for you guys on the channel. So today, our first day, we'll build a simple stopwatch app. Now it's already on the watch, it's already on our phone, but for developers, for me, I realized that when I first learned iOS development or Android development or web development, I find for myself really motivated and really inspiring to learn to build the real-world examples of apps, not just like some dumb apps, you know what I mean? So it's really easy for me to imagine what I am building if I'm building something real, something I already use. So today we'll build a simple stopwatch app that will have the start feature and stop feature and a clock that will count the second, counts the time in milliseconds, and then we'll have the reset button to reset the time or reset the stopwatch. So let's get started. In the description, you'll find a link for you to download the starter project, the complete project, the full source code of today's challenge. And when you also create the account, you enter your name and username and email there so that I can send you all the resources and the videos over the next few days, over the next 30 days. You also get notified whenever new videos coming out, and also please subscribe to the channel if you haven't, and turn on notification so that whenever I release new training, you will get notified on your phone that hey, new training is coming out. So I'm so excited. Download the Start project and let's get into the demo. I will share with you the stopwatch app development. Here we go, let's do it. The first thing we're going to do is opening up Xcode, and then let's create a new Xcode project. Then I'm going to make some space here. Now this app, it's a very simple app, so I'm going to use a single view application, and let's call this guy stopwatch. Put it there, and then I'm going to put into the stopwatch folder so that you can download this project later on. The first thing we'll do is goes into the main.storyboard. Then we'll design the app's UI. We'll put in the elements, UI elements, so that we can create this app. Now, as the challenge grows on, I hope that you find out about me. One thing is that I love design. I know that you go into iOS development because part of you loves the beautiful design, right? So I'm obsessed with that. Now, as you may know that on the pages that you are seeing on this website or at teamwally.com, or on the courses, on the apps that we built, I designed them myself. Even though I'm a programmer, not a professional designer, but I love designing those things. And as with tools like Sketch or Framework, it allows us to design apps really easily. I hope that when you, if you have a chance to join us at Wally courses, I will share with you how to do that. So in this app, it's really simple. This morning when I prepare my plan, write on my plan for today, I write on a piece of paper, and then when I flip it back, I actually just design it on a piece of paper like this. Now, bear in mind that this is an incredibly simple app, so I can do that, but later on I will show you how to do it in tools like Sketch or Photoshop. But honestly, I have to say that as years go by, I have learned and realized the lesson, pay the price to learn the lesson, is that when we are trying to find the perfect design, right, the colors, the shape, and the functionalities of how the app works. This is very simple example, but later on, more complex app with more features, we can get stuck in trying to find the UI, the design. So what we do is that we will try to procrastinate. We stall the progress of the app. So we don't want to do that. For this app, I want to share with you that so that we have to accept that the first phase, the MVP, the first version of the app, it looks ugly as shit. So what we want to do is go over this button here, the object panel. Then we want to drag out a label, right? We want to have a label. Then here is a trick. You can search for a label, then search for a button. You can hold the Option key, drag out a button like this. Then you can drag out, then you can keep this panel right here. You don't have to dismiss it, right? Then let's have another button here, another button here, then we're good to go. So this label, let's increase the font size into something like 70, okay? Then we're going to double click, having it as hour, minute, second, millisecond, decicent, right? So I'll put it right here, just so that we have a design. Then here, this is the reset button. So let's double click, change it into reset. This button right here is, let's have that as the pause. Double click here, this is the start. Okay, so voila, we have the design. Very simple, but pay attention that this is not the final design. We will add the background, those things like that. Oh, how about we add another label, put it right down below here, right? So that we have like Team Wally.com. Here we go. All right. So that pretty much is the basic design, right? So let's go and build this app. You can click over the play button here and run the app, and you will see the simulator going up like this. Here we go. So when you run the app, it will look like this. This is the initial view controller, and here we go. Now, the final design, we want to have something like this, right? So this is a screenshot from the final project. You can download it right below. So we have the reset button, which is here, the label so that we display the counter, the timer, and then the pause, the start, the label for Team Wally. Just like that, we'll make it beautify. We'll beautify the design in just a moment. So that is the first step, the designing the UI in storyboard. So the second step, let's create a new view controller. I'm going to create a new view controller. Now, the name of this guy is view controller. The file is view controller.swift. That sucks, right? Because it is too general. So what we want to do is we want to move this to trash. Right click here, have a new file. Let's have a Swift file called stopwatch view controller, and we create the new file. Then here we want to import UI kit. Let's have a class called stopwatch view controller. Because that is a view controller, we want to subclass UI view controller. Then now, before we forget, I want to go into main.storyboard, click into this view controller, change the custom class into stopwatch view controller. Make sure that you have the classes stopwatch view controller. So here, the stopwatch view controller. Go into this class. The first thing we're going to do is we want to connect the outlet from, the elements, UI elements from this main.storyboard scene to our stopwatch view controller. So here is what I'm going to do. Click into this stopwatch view controller, click into this button, which is the assistant editor. Then if it is correctly do, it will shows up our stopwatch view controller, but it doesn't, maybe it has some bug in Xcode. What you can do, really neat trick, is you can hold the Option key. Hold the Option key, click into the stopwatch view controller, and boom, on the right you have this text editor. Then now I'm going to right click and drag into the scene like this, and let's have reset button. Pay attention to the naming convention here. The first thing is it is lower camel casing. It means that the first character is lowercase, the other first characters of the next word is going to be uppercase. The second one is the naming convention for outlet in iOS is you have the last word to be the type of that element. So for example, if this is a UI button, we have that as the button. The next one is what does this button do? So what is the functionality of this element? Here it is a reset button. We want the name to be really descriptive, right? So, oh, this is just an error, so don't worry. So I'm going to do that again like this. Okay, so reset button, reconnect it. Alright, so you may have this error. It has been a bug in Xcode for years now. Don't know why they didn't fix this. But what you can do is go here, code it yourself. So IBLX, wick, var, reset button is a UI button like this. And then you can connect this guy over here, right? So that is connected. If you hover it, it will display the reset button. Next, I'm going to copy this. Okay, and then let's have the timer label. Timer label is a UI label. Let's have the pause button is a UI button. Let's have the start button is again another UI button like that. Okay, then now timer label, pause button, start button. All right. Okay. Next up, let's add some actions into the controller. Now, whenever the user click into this guy, we want to trigger an action. But before we do that, let's run and build and run the project to make sure that it runs correctly. Here we go. So it still works. Awesome. Next, let's have some IB action. Right click over here and drag to the screen. We're going to reset the tab. And instead of an outlet, we want to have an action. Connect it. Here we go. Reset the tab. Next is pause. So right click, action, pause the tab, connect. The start below here, start the tab. Again, it is an action. Here we go. So we have the action for all these three buttons. Okay. So what we want to test is we can do things like that. Print, reset the tab, then going to paste here, and then change it into pause the tab and start the tab. Now when we run the project, here we go. Goes over here and then look over the console on the right side. Reset the tab, good. Pause the tab and start the tab, right? So whenever we click here, we will start it. We will get trigger this method. It's time to work on the start feature. So when we click the start button here, we want to run the timer. So to do that, to have this stopwatch going on, we want to have three. Let me open up the standard editor here. We want to have three components. The first thing is a timer. It is of type timer, very simple. Actually, you know what? I'm going to create it immediately like this. The second one we want to do is we want to have a flag. In programming, it's whatever, like the Boolean value that keeps track of whether something is running or not, something is on or off. We usually call that a flag. So the flag here we want to have is the timer running or not? By default, that is false, right? So when we first start the app, it is not running. Then the next one is we want to have a counter that will keep track of the number of seconds that is going on. Cool? So when the start the tab, I'm going to do it like this. Let's delete the print, right? So when the start button, the tab, we want to check if the timer is running or not. because if the timer is running, we don't want to start it, right? So if the timer is not running, then let's create a new timer with the thing called schedule the timer with the interval target like this, okay? So we want to call a method called timer, schedule timer with the time interval target selector user info and repeats. So the time interval here, we want to have 0.1 second. The target, we want to have a self. The selector, we want to have selector run, let's call run timer. User info is nil, repeat is true. Okay, so let's build the project. When we build the project, it says build fail. Why is that? Well, when you click over here, it says replace the run timer with NS timer or something. It says use of unresolved identifier run timer. Do you mean NS timer? Well, what happened is that this timer here, what we do is that this timer, it will get triggered every 0.1 second. Every 0.1 second, the self, which is the target, will call the method a selector called run timer, right? But what happens here is that we said that self will call run timer every 0.1 second. But this run timer method hasn't been declared yet. So we want to have, let's have a mark below here called helper method, right? Let's have a function called run timer like that. And now when we build it, Command B to build it, it should take this away. Oh, it says argument selector refers to an instance method run timer that is not exposed to Objective-C. So what happens here? The selector here is a syntax in Objective-C. As you may know, the Objective-C is the language that is the foundation, that is the thing that Apple engineers built most of iOS. Swift, the language we are using right now, is a new language. So what really going on under the hood is that all the code in UIKit mostly is written in Objective-C. What they did is they only bridge from Objective-C, one language, to Swift, the new language, right? So the selector is the Objective-C, the old language feature, not Swift feature, right? So we have to make sure that when Swift method here is parsed, is compiler runs this code, we want to make sure that Objective-C knows that can be a selector as well. Okay, so in other words, we want to make sure that Objective-C can recognize this. To do that, we make a flag called add Objective-C C for the function run timer. Cool. Now when we Command B to build it, it says build succeeded. Cool. All right. Now here is the cool thing. When I put in a print something like timer updated like this and run the project, when we run it, you will see that here we go. When we click start, it says run updated. It's a lot. Why is that? Well, it's because every 0.1 second it will get called, and this method will get called, right? So let's close the project. So in this one, after we create a new timer, let's change our timer flag. Is timer running to be true because it is running, right? Then, because the timer is running, we want to enable the reset button, right? So reset button that is enabled to be true, and then the pause button is enabled to be false. So let me run it and show you what happens here. Okay, so let's run it, and then we run, and is enabled to be true. The pause button is enabled to be true. So you see that it hides away. Okay, then I'm going to start button that is enabled to be false. Okay, now when the app first started, I want to do something like this. In the viewDidLoad, super.viewDidLoad like this, this viewDidLoad method is the method that will get triggered by your kids the first time this view controller is loaded. We'll talk more about view controller's life cycle in the following days. Okay, so when the view first loaded, the reset button, we want to disable that, because when it first loaded, there's nothing to reset. The pause button, we also want to disable that, because the timer is not running, there's nothing to pause. The start button, we do want to enable, because we want to start, right? So now when you run the project, here we go, and first launch, reset button, you cannot tap that anymore. Pause, you cannot tap that anymore. But when you click the start, oh, okay, so the start gets disabled, the reset and the pause gets enabled, right? So that's cool. All right, so now, next thing is, let's update this run timer method, okay? So in the run timer, I'm going to increase the counter to be 0.1 plus equals 0.1. What you do is you add 0.1 second into the counter, right? So then let's update the timer label .text to be the counter like that. Okay, so now I'm going to run it and see how it looks like. Here we go, start, and you see that? Okay, now it's running like this, even though that is not very nice, but it means that it does run. We didn't have the reset yet, so let's stop this. I'm going to add some logic into this timer first. So here is the logic. The logic is we want to display the timer in terms of hour, minutes, second, and then the second, right? Something like this. Okay, so hour, minute, and second. It's very simple. First thing, I want to float the counter, and to do that, we just need to cast the floor of the counter to an integer. Okay, so the floor of the counter is a double, then we make that an integer. Then let's get the hour. The hour, all you have to do is do the floor of the counter divided by 360. 3600. Why is that? Because 1 hour has what? Has 3600 seconds, and because the float counter and the 3600 is also an int, both of those are an int, so the hour here will also be an int. You can check that, hold the option key, click the hour, and voila, there's an int, right? So very simple. Next, we want to get the minute. So let's the minute to be the float counter modulus 3600, and then we divide it by 60, right? So that will be the minute. Next, let's get the second. The second is float counter modulus 3600, right? And then we modulus 60 seconds, right? So because every minute has 60 seconds. Now, this thing over here, I also want to make the minute string to be, for example, if the minute is like 0 or 1. Oh, you know what? Yeah, so if the minute is like 0, 1, 2, 3, I want to change it into 0, 1, 0, 2, 0, 3, 0, 4, right? Not just 1, 2, 3, so that it looks nice. The same goes for the second. So to do that, I'm going to do the minute string to be minute like this, right? Then let's get the, if the minute is less than 10, then the minute string would be 0, and then minute, right? Here we use string interpolation to add the minute and then the 0 character. Then that's the var second string to be, oh, by the way, I apologize for the, maybe you hear the background noise. Someone in the apartment buildings is like doing some reconstruction, but I don't want to stop the recording of the schedule. So sorry about that. I will try to minimize the background noise. So the second, like that, and then if the second less than 10, then we do the second string to be again 0, second, like that, right? All right. Next is let's get the decisecond. Decisecond. I hope that I spelled it right. Decisecond is 1/10 of a second, equals to the string with the format is modulus .1 f counter, like that, and then we get the component separated by the dot character, and we get the last. Okay, so what happens here? Well, the counter, it can be something like 36.8, right? But the decisecond is this 8 character. So what we want to do is we want to display it 36.8 to be 36.8, which is this part, right? 36.8. Then this dot component separated by the dot will be, we separate the string into an array of 36 and then 8, okay? An array of string with 36 and 8, like this. Then we count the last, which is this decisecond, okay? All right, next, last thing, we update the timer label, the text, to be a string with the firstly is the hour, then the colon, then we want to do the minute string, colon, second string, and then dots, then decisecond, like that. Okay, I hope that is spelled right. I honestly never know that a decisecond is 1/10 of a second. Alright, so now let's run the project, and here we go. So pretty nice. I dig it. So it runs here, updates it. Now, how can we test that if this is a minute, it will run correctly, right? So what we can do is we will wait until 1 second, but here is a trick. You can pause this, change the counter into like 50.8 seconds, and then run it, right? 50.8 seconds, run that, and now when you run, click start, 50.8, 9, and boom, it changed to 1 minute. Good job. Next, let's add that into like 118 seconds, because that is going to be close to 2 minutes, right? So let's run it. Start, and that is 1 minute, 2 minutes. Pretty good job. All right, so we have pretty much this timer is running really good now. The next thing we want to do is to implement the pause the tab. So in the pause the tab, it's actually really simple. The first thing we want to do is when we let me run the complete project so that you can see. Okay, so pause the tab, click here, start the pause. When we pause it, all right, so when we click pause, the first thing we do is we will disable the pause button because it's already paused, right? The second thing is enable the start button and the reset button. So let's do that. So when we pause, the reset button that is enabled to be true. The start button is enabled to be true, and the pause button that is enabled, to be false, right? Then next, we want to change the flag is the timer is running to be false. Is timer running to be false? Because it's not running. Then we stop the timer. So timer dot invalidates. Now this timer here is this guy over here, right? So we invalidate that guy. Now that's all it takes actually. So let's run it. Here we go. Start, and we pause, and this is clear. It appears the start, pause, start, and pause. Pretty good. All right. Next, let's have the reset. The reset function. When we reset here, it should reset the whole timer. So I'm going to delete this print. First, let's just do timer.invalidate because you know that it will reset the timer, right? Then is the timer running to be false because it's not running anymore. Let's reset the counter to be 0, so because the timer just get reset. Then we do the timer label.text to be a string of 000000.0, right? Hour, minute, second, this is second. Then we're going to update the buttons. So reset button dot is enabled to be false because we just reset it. Then the pause button that is enabled to be false. Then finally the start button that is enabled to be true, right? So now let's run it and see how it looks like. Here we go. Start and we can reset. Start and we can reset. Right, pretty cool. Oh, by the way, the reason why it like that is the counter is 0.0. We change it last time we tested, remember? Okay, so that works just awesome. So we have the reset, we have the start, we have the pause, and what is left? Well, what is left is we want to update the user interface so that it looks nice, right? It doesn't look like just some buttons and labels like this. The UI can look really awesome when we add some colors and shape and borders into that. So let's go back into the main storyboard. Now at this stage, most of the functionalities are complete for our MVP. Minimum viable product. It means that like on the very small subset of features that can make your product work, you can now ready for launch. Now before we do that, we want to make it beautiful so that it is user friendly, right? The first thing I want to do is actually I'm going to do this. There will be some other features that is more advanced, which if we have time we'll cover in later episodes. Okay, so let's have the reset button here. I'm going to change that into system 17. Let's change the text color into black because I want to cling to this view. I want to change the background into something, oh, not this color. I have that color somewhere. Let me make sure that we have the color. Is this color right here. Okay, I'm going to copy the color from the complete project. Go over here, change the custom, and then we'll change the hex color code. Now the way you can do that is go into the color, custom, click custom, and then this guy, RGB sliders, change the hex color into that. Okay. Next, the reset button. I will scroll down, make the background to be white color, like that. Okay. Then we want to change the size. The size, let's change that into like the width is 74. The height is 40. Okay. Put that right here. Let's change this text into white. Right. The color is white color. Going to make it left align. Drag this thing way down like this. Alright. Then let's make this font to be semi-bold. Let's do that into just 60 point. Okay. Now this thing, let's also change the background of that into like custom, right? And then let's make that into like white color or something. Okay, then we change the opacity, will be like 15%. Alright. Right. Next, the pause and the start. I will scroll down just a little bit here. Select both of these. Change the color, the text color to white color. And then change the size. The size we want to width is 150. The height is also 150. Put that right in the middle. One to the left and right to be 36 points. Now the way that I can have this ruler is I select the element, hold the option key, select the element, hold the option key, drag this thing, hover the console, the mouse to left and right, and you'll have this ruler. Really convenient, right? Like that. Okay, next, let's change the pause button. You can change any color that you like actually. I will change the background color into like text color like this. Oh, you know what? Change that into white color. The start, so it means that the tint will need to be dark text color, and the text color needs also dark text color, like that. Okay, then the start, you want to change the background into this red, no, not that red, but this red color. How about this? Yeah, this red. The red is E1 3B 44. Okay, so I think that's it. You know what? I'm going to hold this into like 20, and then drag these two guys into the middle. Okay? Alright. Then finally, Team Wally. Let's change that into the, not background, but the text color into like light text color. Okay? We put that right into the middle like this. Okay? Now let's run it and see how it looks like. Here we go. Alright. Oh, by the way, this is iPhone 8. Let's change that into the simulator in the storyboard is iPhone 8. We want to change it into iPhone 8 Plus, right? Now, by the way, when you see it like this, we can do it like that, okay? Now, because the real estate of the screen is way more, so that is the reason why we have more space. Okay, now what we want to do is when we have I believe is maybe like day 10 or something, I will share with you auto layout, which is really cool. You can make one UI that works on all screen sizes, whether it is 8, 8 plus, 10, 10 plus, whatever that is, right? Or an iPad. That works great. So now let's run it. Here we go. And boom, right? So we have the button start still works, reset still works, right? All right. Okay. So that looks great. But no, there's one problem, one slight problem is that, well, this thing here, I don't like it very much, but I will give that as a little code challenge for you in just a moment. But here is the problem. When we click start and we pause, we don't know that all these buttons is still like disabled or not, right? Because we give it new tint color and text color for the text and new background color. So the built-in UI button doesn't have that feature to change the alpha. That is what we should do, right? We'll change the alpha of the buttons, and we want to have some corner radius as well. So first thing is view did load. We did load here. Let's update the UI. Want to change the time label. Time label .layer .corner radius to be 5.0, and then time label .layer .mask to bound to be true. Now, when you run the project, what happens is you have this rounded corner. Looks really cool, right? Rounded rectangle. Looks really cool. Next, the reset button .layer .corner radius. Let's have that 4 points, and we'll also make the layer .mask to bounds to be true. Okay. Next, let's make the reset button by default is enabled to be false. We disable that by default when the app is first loaded, and also the reset button .alpha is 0.5, which is enabled, right? Then finally, let's do the start button .layer .corner radius to be the start button .bounds .width over 2.0. Now, why is that? Let me do this first. Okay, layer .mask to bound to be true. Why is that this bounds .width over 2.0? Well, the reason is the start button .bounds .width gives us the width of the button, and divided by 2.0 is with a rectangle, right? With a square. When you have the corner radius to be half of the width, then it will turn into a circle. Just like that, right? Pretty cool. So now, next, let's change the pause button .layer .corner radius to be pause button .bounds .width over 2.0. Now this If you are from like web development like CSS, this corner radius, maybe you will be confused with border radius. In iOS, that is corner radius. Okay, so pause button. Layer.mask to bound to be true. Then we want to disable is enable to be false, and pause button dot alpha to be 0.5. Now when you run it, the first time the app is launched. Here we go. Alright, so the pause button, it's not completely white, and the reset also. When you click the start here, what we want to do is we want to disable the start, enable the pause, right? It's now still enabled, but the color doesn't reflect that, and enable the reset as well. So let's reflect that with the color. So when start the tab, right? Let's do the reset button dot alpha to 1.0, start button dot alpha to be 0.5, and pause button dot alpha to be 1.0. I'm going to copy this. So that's for start. Let's run it. Here we go. When we start, click start, and see that? So it reflects on the UI really clearly that when you start, click the start, the reset and the pause will be enabled, right? Even though programmatically you can still click that and still works previously well, but because we have new colors, the color will give the user a sense of, is this button clickable or not, right? So this, we don't get to, when we click pause here, now when we click pause, we still cannot click pause again because programmatically this button is disabled. But the color, it gives the user a sense that, well, this pause is still clickable, right? So that is why in the pause tab, after we pause, we'll do something like this. When we pause, the reset will be 0.5, still 1.0 because it's still enabled. The start, let's do 1.0 because it's paused, right? Then the pause button is 0.5. Okay, so let's run it. Here we go. The pause, start, and we pause, and we can start again. See, just a little bit change of color. It gives the user a clue whether it is clickable or not, right? So it looks really nice now. And now we want to hit the reset. When we hit the reset, we want to change the color as well. We hit the reset, we don't want to be able to hit that again, so we make the color less primary. The start, yeah, we want to show. The pause, no, we don't want to show. So run it. And let's go, let's go. Here we go. So by default, it's not start, it appears, click reset, and we cannot click that anymore as well for the pause. Start, reset. All right. Last thing, I'm going to increase the font size for start and pause to be like 19. Okay, so it looks better. Here we go. So start, pause, start, pause. Alright guys, I hope that you enjoyed today's challenge. We just built a stopwatch app. Now I know that it's a simple app, but for a lot of folks who are new to iOS development, I think that it would be really helpful to build this simple app. We'll talk about like how to create the user interface in Storyboard, of course how to navigate around Xcode, how to create IB actions, and how the app architecture works, right? So we have the Storyboard, we have the controller, and we have the code in the controller that will kind of like controls the UI. Now I know if you are new to this, it can be a little bit like confusing. Xcode is a huge piece of software, so if it is kind of like overwhelming and confusing for you, well, me too. Like when I first learned iOS development, this app right here, maybe it took me like doing this over and over again a few dozen times until I get it. And I can only share with you is the only way that you get good at this is to keep doing it again and again and again and keep doing. That's why we have this challenge, right? For me, because I already did this a few times and I have been building iOS apps for over the last 3-4 years now. So this is simple for me, but it's only because I have been doing it like a lot. So that's why I challenge myself to create a new piece of content for you guys over the next 30 days to build iOS apps. So I hope that you will join us in the 30 days challenge by subscribing to the channel, and also join us by filling your information on the download page in the description. So I can send you a new email with the link to the training every single day, and also the download source code, everything in this challenge. So I hope that you enjoy this. Subscribe and download the source code and join us in the 30 days challenge. So I hope that you enjoy this, and I see you tomorrow. Bye bye.